That's your paradise? Birds of Paradise? That's
Yes,
nightmare
my-
fuel.
what do
That's
you
like
mean,
Alfred
a fool?
Hitchcock.
You're taking that game a little bit more seriously.
I'm going to be the guy to tangent off of, even though I'm supposed to keep us on track here. Welcome to WWB Worldwide Broadcast. This is episode 55, guys. And as you can see, it is me, myself, Harry, Billy, and Tyler are not on this episode. Speaking of that, I just want to start off with some WWB news. Currently, formatting wise, we were doing one about hour-long podcast a week. Now we are kind of switching up the format, just with kind of our schedules and life things going on outside. I felt the need was to maybe just adjust our formatting of how we do WWB, the podcast itself. So going forward, I will be we're still going to be having a podcast every week. They probably will there'll be a couple podcasts where, if I can get one of the other hosts on, I will. Otherwise, it's mainly just going to be myself kind of giving just the weekly update and news. So they're going to be a little bit shorter. If I have some fun things or like interviews with people, those things will definitely be happening. I would say that Tyler and Billy, there will be at least have them come on, once a month to definitely get their takes and thoughts on a lot of the news. A main thing, too, is that Ward itself is kind of at a point where it's slowing down. I would just say, well, I shouldn't say slowing down, but there really isn't a whole heck of a lot. I mean, if you look at their calendar right now, they haven't really like filled it out or flushed it out. So like as that information is coming out, like I said, we'll definitely be covering it all. But as it stands right now, I don't think it's like too much to talk about. I know Gen 3 just dropped, and they're definitely starting to get some tournaments going on. I mean, obviously there is some news this week that I would like to cover. Pertaining to the competitive scene, again, our podcast kind of focuses more on Ward's competitive rank scene. But like I said, I think this format will work a little better. Having a couple weeks during where I just kind of basically cover any of the information that's going on throughout the week, and then just having what I kind of plan is like a bigger podcast where me, Billy, and Tyler will all be on to discuss any of the big events that have gone on in that like month period leading up to, just big events or anything like that. Obviously, if anything like significant changes, we definitely probably will all get on and talk about it. But again, that was just kind of more of me just wanting to kind of let you guys know that it will be changing a little bit. You're going to be seeing a lot more maybe of just me solo, which is okay. Obviously we will definitely just kind of like update you guys on the news that is going on in Ward. And then, obviously then you can look forward to those big episodes where it's me, Billy, Tyler, and we're all bantering and whatever, messing around with each other while we go through the topics. But like I said, I'm planning to still try to have on guests, still trying to have weekly content for you guys to watch. I think, as Ward is growing here, there are more people that are putting in content, which is awesome. I know Alec is doing his March, like every day he opens a booster pack for Gen 3. So, there'll be stuff to watch, and, we want to support all those different podcasts too, and different creators that are coming into the Ward scene, because all that stuff helps Ward grow, so everybody involved definitely adds just more things to talk about, more stuff going on in Ward, not just waiting for, Gen pack releases and tournaments to come out. But without that further ado, I'm going to get on to kind of the rest of the stuff. I guess the big news we'll start out with Ward Bowl. It's here. So if anybody was wondering what date, we were all talking about Ward Bowl. Not sure when it was going to come out, and they finally announced it a couple days ago that it's going to be on June 20th at 10 a.m. And then this will be in Hibbing. At the Rise of the Podcast studio is where they're going to put this on. If anybody wasn't there for the last year for the Ward Bowl, this is where they hosted it. They put it on at the Rise of the Podcast, and afterwards they had the winner, myself, with the big trophy, if you can't tell. Like to present that. But yeah, no, they put that on. They had the podcast and had me on there and definitely talked about kind of just like the competitive scene of Ward and where everything was at. But again, if anyone is unfamiliar with Ward Bowl is the big event that Ward staff kind of put on. It's kind of like their little Super Bowl. So all the ranked tournaments, everything, all the rankings goes towards it. It's kind of the whole reason why, the competitive people play Ward at the moment. I would say this is like the big event. So, if you're in the rankings, this is kind of the thing you're looking forward to. What they do is they have the top 10 players, and then they have the Ward of Honors, which is another 10 players. So 20 people are basically able to have a chance to play in this tournament. So again, that's why the rankings are so important, is that you get your rankings up as high as you can, so you're one of those top 20, so that you are invited to this tournament. Again, it's an invitational, so you yourself have to actually, like I said, meet the requirements to play in it. But how do you do this? I mean, a bunch of locals have been starting to throw on tournaments. If you don't have locals that are throwing on tournaments, WWB, online ranked tournaments. That is basically my whole pitch that I've been trying to do lately, is just have people have the ability from anywhere around the United States to play in, on these online tournaments, which I will cover our, online tournament. I do one once a month. So if anybody's worried about like, oh, I don't know if I can play enough times to get my rankings up, I promise you, once a month, if you do really good in those tournaments, you'll get on the Ward of Honors at this moment. But like I said, otherwise there's a lot of in-person events at a lot of like LSGs that the Ward staff will go around to as they're trying to get their game to spread. In our area alone, I mean, we come from like, Hibbing, Minnesota, up close to like Lake Superior. So it's like if you're up in this area, Duluth, Minnesota, like the cities, Minneapolis, there are tournaments in those areas. Obviously, that's kind of the main hub right now of Ward. I'm expecting Ward to grow much more drastically. I want to give a big shout out to Big Top Games. We've had them on this podcast too. They are also throwing on ranked events in Georgia. So if you're anywhere near like the southern areas and you watch this, I would definitely recommend, if you can, make it out to Georgia. I get it. Sometimes those commutes could be way too long, and slowly as Ward grows, I'm sure all these card stores will definitely, as they, if they get involved with Ward, will definitely be throwing on ranked tournaments as well. Actually, here's another big plug for you guys, is you guys can reach out to the Ward staff and make up your own Ward tournaments too. I mean, do your own online tournaments once a month. As long as, I would say, try not, communicate with all the other people who are doing them to make sure you're not throwing them on the same day, because then you're kind of making people have to decide which ones to do. But as it stands, everyone can only do one once a month for ranked. So if you go on Untap the way WWB does and throw on an online tournament, or a lot of people like Tabletop Simulator throw on a tournament doing that too. Those are just other means that you could go about potentially making tournaments for Ward. And like you said, the way to do it is you email Ward. They have an email. It's like contact us at wardthetradingcardgame.com. Pretty easy to remember. Like I said, if you actually are interested in doing it, it doesn't take much to find all this information to set up these ranked tournaments. But again, you could throw on a ranked tournament of your own. I mean, for us, I just do prize pools just by the buy-ins. Sometimes, the Ward staff, especially if they want to help promote you, they'll probably give you some product that you can use as some of your rewards for people to win. So again, encouraging anyone, you don't have to be a established store. I mean, I'm certainly not. What am I? I'm a collector and a guy who made a podcast that really loves this game. It's like anyone can do this. I really do encourage, I would like to see a calendar where it's like 4 or 5 tournaments, even if half of them are online tournaments for people to qualify and play in, because there are people, as this game grows, and right now, even in our Discord, there's tons of people that want to compete in these tournaments, want to have, be the top dog competitive scene. So this is, what I strive for. This is why I push the online stuff so heavily. And like, I would love to hear your guys' comments. Definitely tell me, it's like, is that something that you guys are also interested in? I know we have a lot of collectors in War of the Trading Card Games, a lot of dads, a lot of people who are like, I've reached out to them and I'm like, hey, you want to join this tournament? And they're like, I got too many commitments. I got too much stuff going on. And that's totally fine. We're all here for a trading card game. It's not, the rank scene isn't the only thing, but it's what I'm going to promote. So it's like, I'm going to try to get as much promotion and much ways, again, for people to have a way to get their ranking up so they can go to big events like the Ward Bowl. Because at the end of the day, I want to see the top level play of Ward. Tyler and Billy, if they were on here, I already kind of know their opinions. They agree too. It's like they want to see the top level award. So it's like that's what we're trying to foster and grow here, is like just have as many tournaments, have as much time for people to play their decks, figure out what is the best card in the game. That is exactly what we try to do here. So again, Ward Bowl, June 20th, 10 a.m. You have to register from June 3rd to June 13th if you are one of those top 20 players to be participated in. And again, it's a fun event. It's the biggest thing. I mean, the Ward staff do an amazing job putting on those events. I mean, the last one we went to, if you guys want, there's videos, there's things, recordings of that whole event that went on. Obviously, me and Tyler were in the finals against each other playing. So at WWB, we do as much as we can to promote this game. And so it's like I really encourage everybody. Just these are those big moments that you want to make it to. This is the stuff that, like, down the line in Ward history, it's like, yeah, I was at Ward Bowl 1 and Ward Bowl 2 and all these things, and I got to compete against these guys. And so again, it's a lot of fun. It's a good time. Obviously, if you're looking to make big trades with a lot of top collectors, I know Casey, everybody knows in the Discord, he's there. He buys tons of Ward pack. He buys all the boxes. Tyler buys boxes. All these people, Dustin, they're all going to be there. And if you're looking to get some of the cards you want to trade for, definitely a good time. I know that the Ward staff had a bunch of giveaways at the last Ward Bowl. They were giving away promo cards. They were giving away legacy packs, things that you can't even really obtain anymore. So it's like, I promise you, it's worthwhile to go to Ward Bowl. And on top of that, this is where I'm going to pivot into my next topic, is Ward Bowl Junior. We got it, guys. They haven't called it Ward Bowl Junior yet, but we got it. All right, Ward staff was listening. Thank you, Ward staff. WWB. We were trying again to promote this game as much as we can, and we thought a great idea to not only have Ward Bowl, the big event going on, but for people that do come in and they're let's just say they just started playing Ward, they haven't grown their rankings. This still lets them be involved in the Ward Bowl event itself. They can join this crack pack, which we call Ward Bowl Junior. And so basically you buy your boosters at the door, get them, go into this event, runs alongside the Ward Bowl, so both events are going on, so people can intermingle and stuff. And when people are taking breaks from the main event, they can watch the crack packs. And like I said, it's great to get everyone playing and more stuff going on. And I think just adding this, it costs them almost nothing to throw on both of these tournaments. And like I said, having an ability for players, once the Ward Bowl people get knocked out, they get a chance to play against those, the Ward Bowl people who are in the Ward of Honors and the top 10, and it's like they get to play against them in a crack pack. Again, I will say crack packs, I wish it was more constructed, but you know what? I'll take a crack pack because again, it's just great to give people the opportunity to play and have see what they can do with their decks and potentially beat some of these Ward Bowl members. And so again, I love this idea. I'm so glad they did Ward Bowl Junior. I told Billy as soon as he actually came up with the idea, so I don't want to take all of the credit, but as soon as he told me the idea, I was like, dude, that is awesome. Like, that is just another thing that would enhance that super special moment of Ward, is having a Ward Bowl Junior, having a smaller event, this crack pack that also kind of has like ties into the regular Ward Bowl, and also just gives people more of a reason to be like, all right, this is why I also come to Ward Bowl. It's not just to watch people play Ward, which again, I think a lot of people like to do. I just think it's nice to have an event for them to also participate in, that they can, play and get to meet people, that are on that high competitive level. So again, Ward Bowl Junior, I can't praise it enough. I thank the Ward staff a lot for doing this. I mean, again, I can understand it's a little bit more work. You got to run two events at the same time, but at the end of the day, I think you're going to have so many people there. I mean, tons of us have knowledge of Ward. A lot of us are super enthusiastic to get to play it. So it's like, dude, I can only see positives of having a Ward Bowl Junior alongside the Ward Bowl, and I'm super stoked. And again, all this is on June 20th. So again, in the Ward Bowl Junior, you don't have to register for, so don't worry if people are worried about like, oh, how do I register for that? It's like, I'm pretty sure if you walk in, you can just register at the door. Again, if the information is different, I will definitely reach out and let you guys know if that isn't the case. But you walk in, buy your boosters, get ready to play, as soon as they start the event. So Ward Bowl Junior, So make sure you make it out to like I said, Hibbing at the Rise of the Podcast studio. I'm pretty sure if you look at their little post with Ward Bowl, they definitely have all that information. Make sure you know where you're going. But once you get there, like I said, it's going to be a blast. And then obviously, just to cap it off, Rise of the Podcast, pretty cool podcast. The Ward staff's been on there a lot. I think they're pretty good friends with the people who run that. It's Jeremy and Kara. They have this podcast where it's more of like a general like nerd podcast. I would say they kind of cover a lot of things like Star Wars, just anything that's kind of in that realm of like fantasy nerd vibes. That's kind of what Rise of the Podcast is. But Ward has definitely used their platform to definitely promote, and so give a big shout out to Kara and Jeremy. And like I said, I was on the podcast for when I won the first Ward Bowl, and so I think it's really cool that this year they're doing not only the winner of Ward Bowl, but they're also going to do the runner-up. So if you're second at the Ward Bowl, for all the people who are in the Ward Bowl, you get to be on the podcast too and talk about just your experience with Ward. So yeah, it'll be exciting. Obviously, I'll be on the podcast because I'm going to win the tournament. I mean, obviously, but for everybody else who wants to also be on the podcast, you can jump on with me too. Nah, sorry, being a little facetious. No, obviously, just whoever is the best players on the day are definitely going to get to be on the podcast. And like I said, it's a really fun experience. If you have never been on camera before, it's kind of cool to get to, have that experience too. So again, guys, Ward Bowl, June 20th. At 10 a.m. CST. Make sure you get there. All right, I covered it. Gosh, cannot say it enough. I'll probably be covering it a whole bunch more as we go on. It's phenomenal. All right, and as I move on, let's talk about our tournament. So, again, like I said before, we have online WWB tournaments using Untap website. Again, Untap, really great website. Cannot say it enough. This is free promotion. I'm not paid by Untap. Don't need to say any of this stuff, but I really think for a free sandbox where you basically can make an account for free, have access to any cards that are loaded on to the website, for sure, it's a great place to go. As you guys know, Billy Hughes, one of our co-hosts for WWB, he literally sits down and puts all those cards in the library. So please make sure you go shout Billy Hughes out, because without him, we wouldn't be able to play Untapped online. He met a guy named Aura Sniper who was in our Discord. He still is, but he doesn't talk as much, but he definitely showed Billy how to use Untap and how to upload the cards. So again, Aura Sniper, also a very big shout out. With that makes these tournaments possible. That makes it easy for anyone who is all around the United States. They can go on Untapped, they can create an account for free, and then one of the deck, it'll say, build a new deck. You build your deck, and it's literally that simple. Then you got the 30 card. You put your 30 cards together, and you got it all made. And so, like I said, we finally got a Ward tab, so it makes it a lot easier. As I ramble about this is what our Ward tournament will be. It's WWB March into Monkey Duck Madness is what our current tournament is. So again, this is a ranked tournament for Ward, so this does affect the rankings. And basically, you will, in order to register, you're going to give me your name. You got to give us your name so that we can, properly get you put in the rankings of the Ward staff. If you're a new player, if you're an existing player, make sure you use your previous name that you already have in the rankings so they don't accidentally make two rankings. It's a $15 fee buy-in. Billy has all of his information for you to pay the $15 fee. It's either PayPal or Venmo. That's kind of how we've been doing it. And like I said, 10 of it goes to the prize pool, 5 of it goes to registration. We're not trying to make this thing super difficult. Again, we don't really have the way to just be like, let's just have prizes all the time. If the Ward staff wants to, here's a shout out. You can definitely send us some stuff so that, for these tournaments, we could give away some promotionals, even if it is just like, promo cards or whatever. There's always something that we could do to maybe give away for people. So I think that would be a great help. But again, $15, $10 prize pool. The first place winner gets a big chunk of the prize pool. Second place gets a small chunk, and then third place just gets their fee that they paid, so the $15 back from playing. And so basically that that's kind of how we structure it. It's double elimination, usually, unless we decide to change the format, but double elim. So basically, and it's heavily ranked. So it's like the first place ranked player should match up with the lowest ranked player, and going forth from there. So again, if you want to get in on that tournament, that's how you basically register. Just give us your name. You also need a physical copy of your deck. I don't want to forget that. So yeah, so physical copy of your deck, a name so that we can get you in the rankings, and then $15 to pay. And pay Billy the 15, and then you're registered. And registration ends, I want to say, so the tournament's March 22nd. So March 21st is when the registration ends, and it should be at 10 p.m. CST. So if you have any questions or any concerns, obviously reach out to Billy, reach out to myself. We're in the Discord. If you're only on Facebook or whatever, or you watch the video only on YouTube, put it in the comments. If you have any questions, I would love to answer that. But yeah, no. So that is our event, again, in March into Monkey Dunk Madness. So if you guys want to participate in that and you want to get your rankings up, this is kind of the only way. I mean, if you look at the calendar, there really isn't anyone else throwing on tournaments. I mean, Curious Crow, sorry, I should shout out Curious Crow on the 21st is throwing out a tournament at, I think it's at 2 p.m. And again, and I can't remember if it's a standard. I think it's just a bring your own Gen 3 only tournament. So if you want to also get in the rankings there, again, that's in Minneapolis at the Curious Crow. Tristan there, he's a huge supporter of Ward as well. So there's a couple tournaments, I should say, but obviously having access to an online one for a lot of people who aren't in our area at the moment, I think is always a great opportunity. So I'm always going to plug, always going to self-promote, do it to death, and I'll be posting it in the Discord. So I'll keep updating people to register, post it on Facebook to make sure people register over there. But yeah, with that, like I said, if you have any questions, just reach out to us. But again, we try to throw on one of these tournaments every month, since we're allowed to. And again, it goes towards rankings. So just any way we can help people get to that Ward Bowl, this is that avenue right there that I was talking about earlier. So there we go, into Monkey Duck Madness. Make sure you register, sign up before the 22nd. And again, it starts on the 22nd at noon CST. So again, make sure you're there, waiting in the chat for Billy. And again, noon CST is when the tournament on the 22nd. So we will make sure we make it out to that. And then I guess I'm almost done with this. Like I said, it was kind of a big chat about just like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what we have happening. One more thing I do want to cover is just the rankings. They just posted the new rankings in March. I mean, I just kind of want to run through it. Billy, obviously, he's been, going to almost every tournament, really putting in all the effort. He is now ranked number 1. Congratulations, Billy Hughes. I know you're not on here, but hey, I want to give him the shout out. Like I said, it is a great honor to climb the rankings and basically, like I said, secure that number 1 spot. I mean, it gives you the best outcome for the Ward Bowl. Like I said, Ward Bowl is also heavily seeded, so it's like, okay, you want to be at the top rankings. Right behind him, KC. If you don't know who KC is, he is the Holy Light collector in the Discord. I feel like most people do know who KC is. He's probably reached out to almost everybody trying to ask for their foils, so you'll definitely know who KC is, but he's ranked number 2. So not only is he a super big collector, which we give it to him, he also is pretty competitive with Ward too. So you know what? He gets like a superstar. He's like the Ward, everybody wants these guys in their TCG. He just lives and breathes Ward at this moment, which is awesome. I'm so glad that he took the time to convert from Magic, realized that Magic isn't where it's at, and Ward is the superior game. And so you know what? Here he is in our community, having a good time. So again, Casey, shout outs, good job for you. Right now as it stands, you're second on the leaderboards, and then third. I mean, I myself. I am, like I said, I'm pretty heavy with our competitive scene. Me, Billy, and Tyler, we all definitely promote this game as much as we can, especially with the competitive rank scene. So I try to make it to as many tournaments as I can. Obviously, when I throw on these online tournaments, I'm hosting it, so I'm not able to participate. But you know what? That's okay. Like I said, I would rather give people that avenue, even if that means that I miss out on some. But regardless, even if I miss out on those tournaments, I make sure to make it to most of the other tournaments and get my rankings up. So third, Fourth is Joe T with 16 wins. Joe T, like, he was actually a really big surprise player who came out actually at the Ward Bowl. He was in the Ward of Honors, so he was in the lower, top 20 of the players, and he basically climbed up. And now, like I said, he's definitely someone you gotta watch out for. He's got hard competition. I think he's got a good he's figured out the game quite a bit for Ward. I think there's a little bit of a learning curve to Ward. As much as people say it's like a very simplistic, like, you just play creatures, you just play magic, and you just hit each other. It's like, no, obviously there's a lot more to it than that. So a big shout out to Joe T. He's fourth on the rankings. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to honor these people, you know what I mean? I don't think we always give all these people the biggest shout out, and I think this is something going forward that I want to do with WWB is just shout out, like, hey, you're on the rankings, you did, you went to these events, you drove miles, you played in them, you got your decks, you thought through all this stuff, like, you deserve the shout out. So it's like, I going forward, we didn't really do it much in the past, but I want to make sure, as I'm going down, I'm trying to, give these congratulations. And at some point I would like to, cover the competitive scene a little bit and have all these players kind of shown and like put out there of just like, how they like to play Ward, the things that they look forward to in the game. And like, again, if you want to end up on the podcast, like, win these ranked events, and I would love to have you guys on a podcast if you win a tournament, or you just do a really good placing, or you're a new player that comes out and is getting really into Ward. It's like, these are things that I want to promote. So again, this is why I shout out the rankings. So going on to number 5th, Lauren. If you don't know, his name's Lenrod in the Discord. Lauren is in 5th. He has 16 wins as well with 14 losses. So he's right there. I mean, he gets one more tournament win. He's right above Joe T if Joe T isn't at the tournament. So those guys are pretty neck and neck. But Lauren, yeah, he's someone. I would say he came in kind of near the end of like Gen 2. Like when the release of Gen 2, like leading up to the first Ward Bowl, he kind of got in. He missed out on the Ward Bowl, didn't have, obviously, like I said, he kind of started like right around that time. But he's definitely someone who's climbed the competitives. I remember the first time I played a constructed deck against him, he brought out the Hive Lords, and let me just tell you, he was piloting the Hive Lord deck pretty well. And I've seen a lot of people try to run that deck. I don't think Hive Lord is the easiest deck to run whatsoever. The fact that like Hive Lord pops in just a card on the field no matter what. So if you have only magic cards on the field, he will destroy your own magic cards. But I do think Black Jacket is secretly a really strong creature. You can be limited summon out with a 2+3 stat line, and it also itself is like 40 HP, so it's kind of a cool creature that you can kind of like flip and flop between your primary slot and also having him as like that limited summon with Hive Lord. So yeah, Lenrod did a phenomenal job of really structuring a deck that just very much buffed up all of his creatures, which I got to give him props for. It caught me off guard, and he definitely took the win over me. So shout out to Lenrod, 5th place. Very fun competitor that I can't wait to see at the Ward Bowl. 6th place, Michelle. Michelle is someone near and dear. She is another Elkanost lover. When Elkanost was around, me and her, we both piloted the birds and the harpies. So I always like the mirror matchup. Me and Michelle always gave each other the mirror matchup to face off, birds against birds. If anyone doesn't know Elkanost, the way they work is for every Elkanost harpy on the field, they get buffed. So in a mirror match with Elkanost, even though a lot of people will protest and say, oh, it's boring, blah blah blah, you get a 10-10 Elkanost if everyone has 2 harpies and 3 Elkanost on the field. It's like you get a 10-10. So, and then you get to smack each other with 10-10 bird creator Elkanost fighting it out. So you know what? I got to give Michelle thanks, because she allows that to happen by playing Elkanost. Everyone should play Elkanost, should play the birds, so that everyone can have a 10-10 Elkanost. Or if you're in like a big 3v versus, you get a 15. Or if you're in a 4-player battle, whatever, you get 20. All I'm saying is it's fun that everyone on the field gets the buff, and you just get to smack with big numbers, big dice. And Michelle, like I said, we always have very close matches, even though sometimes they go on the longer end. I always enjoy playing Michelle, but again, she is number 6th in the rankings. Again, a very good competitor. She definitely knows Ward pretty well. So these are people you guys are gonna need to watch out for when you get into that Ward Bowl and you start playing at these tournaments. Moving down, number 7, Adam M. Adam M is a big supporter of our WWB tournaments. He basically plays every single time we throw on a tournament. And so, again, big shout out to you, Adam. He's someone who really likes to pilot the Steam Rex. Both Adams actually are Steam Rex believers. Adam M usually has him as kind of his like big boss creature, and then he runs just like a bunch of other creatures that are pretty strong in their own right, and then just kind of makes it have the deck function that way. But nah, dude, I always love having Adam. He's a good energy anytime he's at the tournaments, and like I said, he's also a very good competitor. At 7th, again with having basically 14 wins. I mean, anybody with 14 wins under their belt, like I said, they definitely know what they're doing with Ward. And so yeah, Adam, again in 7th, he's a pretty good competitor. Number 8, we have Eric F. I've met Eric. He kind of started a little bit after Ward Bull as well. He's someone who goes to the Curious Crow with his whole crew. He's actually got a bunch of boys, and he's been the one who's kind of migrating all of the people from their community. I mean, they have his sons have a lot of friends at school, and so they're getting all them. So if anything, Eric is kind of known for getting a lot of the youth into Ward. As I will say, there are definitely it's nice to have the younger generation start to play Ward. I really think as much as people get into Pokemon, I think Ward has that same capacity with just cute little creatures where they could definitely attract a lot of these younger audiences in. But Eric with his sons, they bring all their friends. Every time I've gone to the Curious Crow in Minneapolis, he's usually there, and he's a fun guy to talk to, trade with. And as it shows, he's also getting pretty good at competitive Ward. Being in the 8th slot, it's like you're definitely putting in the work, playing at the tournament. So shout out to you, Eric. I can't wait to see you at the Ward Bowl or Curious Crow if I make my way out there. Next is Jeremy. Michelle and Jeremy, they're the duo of Ward, I like to say. And basically, I guess the doppelganger, so you guys get to pick which one is which, on that picture doppelganger. I'll pull it up, but you got the guy in the background, and then you got the girl. So it's like you decide who Jeremy and who Michelle are on the card, but they're kind of the duo. Jeremy is he's a very good competitor in his own right. Always love playing against Jeremy. Like I said, he definitely brings it out, and it's kind of funny to see, him and Michelle, they both, they play each other a lot, so they kind of get to see a little bit of what they're cooking up. Each of their decks kind of have like that little bit of that they've been brainstorming their decks together, and Jeremy, I think the funnest deck I've ever seen him bring it. He had Dawn of the Living Chickens with Creators and just a bunch of big AL12s and Steam Rexes or Steam Spiders, so you have 100 HP, 6 AL creatures, so you don't have to sack for, but then you just get a handful of Creators and the Old God and Perfect Shark, and then you play Dawn of the Living Chickens, make all those your limited summons, do one big attack, and then kill a creature in one shot. So Jeremy, he's a fun Ward player. He definitely brainstorms through his decks quite a bit, and like I said, I love that kind of competition, and I love people that are willing to kind of step out of just the standard play my assassin, kill a creature with my assassin, it's buff up my assassin because I get 3 times damage. It's he's definitely somebody who I would say he definitely enjoys finding other cool niche little cards in Ward that you can kind of make decks around. And so yeah, I give him a shout out. I think he's the Dawn of the Living Chickens guy. He definitely made that card have some viability at this moment. But yeah, no, Jeremy, shout out to you. Congratulations, number 9th. I mean, like I said, 11 wins. That's great. All right, and then number 10th, I'm just going to do the top 10, but Emmett F is actually the son of Eric. So they, again, as I was saying at the Curious Crow, Emmett, very strong competitor. I wish I was, as smart as that kid is at his age with playing Ward, a trading card game. I think it's awesome, like I said, to just have all ages in our game. And like I said, I mean, my son too, he plays in Ward, so it's kind of cool to see, just the next generation of Ward, players that potentially will pick up, if they want to get into the rank scene, or just how big Ward will be growing at that time. Emmett is definitely somebody who I can't wait to see. Emmett loves his dragons. I do have to shout out Emmett. He traded me a foil Eternal Dragon to complete my foil 150. So it is really cool to have met Emmett and Eric. And like I said, they are tough competitors, so I cannot wait to see them at War Bowl. But congratulations, Emmett, for making it on the top 10. But with that, guys, I'm just kind of gonna wrap up the episode here with my final thoughts. I'm hoping. Again, I'm going to say this, as Ward Bowl is on the way, it's on June 20th. So, it's almost March 20th. So we're almost 4 months away. I want to see as many Ward tournaments and things put into the calendar so that everybody has the ability to potentially make it to Ward Bowl. Like I said, we're going to be putting on our Ward tournaments on Untapped online to build up your rankings too. So again, just for anybody who's excited for the Ward, for Ward Bowl or the competitive scene, definitely reach out to me, reach out to Billy, reach out to, Tristan at Curious Crow. He's also in our Ward Discord. Also, just in general, hop on the Ward Discord. If you're watching this and you're new and you want to get into Ward, the Ward Discord is the best place to go to get all this information, keep up to date with all this stuff, meet a lot of cool people in the community. But yeah, with that, guys, that is episode 55 of WWB, and I will see you next time.